What is up, YouTube? Doomwake here. Welcome to another modern video. As always, before we continue, if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Just want to say shout out again to hitting 1K subscribers. That's a huge milestone, so appreciate everyone who's been tuning in lately. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the content. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am making it. So, with that, drop a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the video. What we have today for you is a deck that a couple people have asked me to record with and over the past couple of days, and I wanted to go ahead and give it a shot. So we have 4-color RHINOS. So, if anybody remembers, over the past was January, February, March, when Valki was introduced into Modern, we kind of call it Valki Winter. So Valki God of Lies was the 2-mana 2/1, and it flipped into Tibalt Cosmic Imposter. So what happened, the way that the Cascade rules used to work is when you would cast a Cascade spell, you would flip, hit Valki. And the way that it allowed you to cast Tibalt Cosmic Imposter for free. So obviously that caused a lot of nonsense, and there was basically a 2-week period where you were playing Valki or you couldn't win. So that obviously had to go, so they changed the Cascade rule. They banned Simian Spirit Guide from the format, probably for the better. So most of the Cascade decks since that particular banning have been Living End, which is cycle a card in turn 1, cycle 2 cards on turn 2, cast Living End, put a bunch of power into play, go from there. Up until this new set, Modern Horizons 2, gave us some fun new toys for Cascade in the form of Shardless Agent. And pretty innocuous card. I mean, it's another 3-mana Cascade spell, and we already had access to Ardent Play and Violent Outburst before. But two nice things about Shardless is it's the best Cascade spell because it's just a somewhat reasonable body, 3-mana 2/2. It's obviously not the most exciting card. It's also blue, so it pitches to your blue cards, Force Negation and Subtlety. And it's just the fact that it gave you an additional 3-mana Cascade spell without having to dip into black because Demonic Tread was really bad. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at here. So the goal of this deck, first and foremost, we are trying to cast a Cascade spell, Violent Outburst, Ardent Plea, Shardless Agent. All have the Cascade mechanic, which is flip cards from the top of your deck until you hit a non-land card with lesser mana cost. You cast it for free. So as you can see, the way that our deck is constructed, the only card that we have to Cascade into is Crashing Footfalls. So every time we cast one of these 3-mana Cascade spells, we're going to be making RHINOS. 2 RHINOS. 4/4 tramples. So that is Plan A. Cascade spell, put a bunch of RHINOS into play. And what's Plan B? Plan B is interaction, so that's what these 20 cards are for, right? That's literally all our deck is 20 interactive spells, 12 Cascade spells, RHINOS, and lands. So the interaction and how we're getting there. Well, actually, one thing I will note here before we continue is I've seen a lot of versions on Twitter and through leagues and challenges that have only been Teamer. They've only been playing Shardless Agent and Violent Outburst as Cascade spells. And we are electing to splash white here. Now, I will say that splashing white is a reasonable deck building cost. You have to add some white lands to your deck. We have Hallowed Fountain, Ragran Triumph, Temple Garden. So it's not free in the true sense of the word. Also, it's, you're adding more shock lands, so your mana base is a little more painful. But I think that it is very much so worth it, because not only do you get access to a 4 more Cascade cards, up to 12 total in Ardent Play, so you're just casting RHINOS more consistently because you basically are almost always a lock to have a Cascade spell on turn 3. It also gives you access to Teferi Time Raveler, which is really good, because it's great against opposing counterspells, so they can't fight over your RHINOS. It's very good against Urza's Saga, because Urza's Saga, generally the play pattern is make a construct, and then you just play Teferi, bounce one of their constructs, so you kind of mitigate that a little bit. But the nice thing is also very good against opposing Cascade spells, because it makes it so Cascade does not actually cast, they can't cast the spell while the Cascade spell is on the stack because of Teferi's templating, the static ability. So I do think that Teferi is worth splashing, but again, it's not 100% free, but I think in that case, the juice is worth the squeeze. So there's our Teferis. That's sort of our interaction against opposing counterspells. And then we have our removal spells. Bone Crusher Giant, again, we have to play cards that cost less than 3 mana. Bone Crusher Giant, 3 mana card when it's in your deck when you're flipping over for Cascade. But you can play the Stomp, which is the 2 mana part, deal 2 damage to a creature, or deal 2 damage to any target, excuse me. And then you also get a 4/3 out of the deal when that comes up. Brazen Borrower is our other 2 mana interactive spell. It's pretty nice. We're electing to go 4 copies of Borrower and 1 copy of Bone Crusher. The nice thing about Brazen Borrower is it also allows you to sort of play the flash game, in the sense of, like, if you have 3 mana and you have, like, let's say Force of Negation, Brazen Borrower, and Violent Outburst, you can just hold up all your mana. If they interact with you, you get to, either cast Brazen, but it just gives you more options, right? So that's why Brazen Borrower is so sick. And obviously Bone Crusher Giant also an instant, Stomp is also an instant. Nice thing about Borrower is because we're playing 8 pitch spells, 4 Force of Negation, 4 Subtlety, we need maximum amount of blue cards. And Brazen Borrower is also very good in the post-board games because it answers a lot of the common hate cards that people will bring in against you. Teferi Time Reveler, Void Mirror, Chalice the Void on 0, and it also bounces Construct tokens. And since Urza Saga is a huge fixture of the format, Brazen Borrower, quite a good card right now. So I would definitely recommend 4 copies if you're going to play the RHINOS deck. And then we have another new addition from Modern Horizons 2 in Fire and Ice. Now, I remember when this card first got spoiled, a lot of people were not quite sure if it was going to live up to, current standards, because obviously 2021 is very different from when Apocalypse came out back in 2002. So we're about 18, 19 years removed from that. But it does a couple of things in this deck. So Fire as a removal spell, kind of the same card as Stomp, 2 mana, 2 damage. You can split it up if your opponent has some 1/1s. But the utility of Ice is actually pretty sick. So obviously you can fog a creature by just tapping it, drawing a card. You can sort of time walk your opponent by tapping a land on their upkeep. I know I'm using these terms very loosely. And it's also good against opposing counterspells. If they hold up 2 mana, you just ice them end step, tap their 1 land, untap, slam a Cascade spell. Now their counterspell's useless. So it just offers you a ton of utility. Again, both halves, you wouldn't play either half by themselves. The reason we're playing 4 copies and we're loading up on this card is just because it gives you options, and that's the best part about it. And then we have another new card here, 4 copies of Subtlety. I'm not a huge fan of this card. I played 2 copies in the last video we did with Blue-Red Delver, and it was okay. I think there are matchups where this card shines a lot, but there are also matchups where it's not very good. So we're electing to play 4 copies here because just the way that our deck works, we need more interaction, and we can't play cards that cost less than 3. So it is a free spell. But, I'm not 100% sold on this. I could definitely see going down on copies, potentially playing more Bone Crushers, a 4th Teferi, maybe even a Jace the Mind Sculptor, just as an additional win con. But we'll see how the subtleties play out in the video, hopefully. And then 4 copies of Force of Negation, pretty much a mainstay in these style of decks. The nice thing about Force is if you have Violent Outburst, you can, if you're worried about counterspells, you can Violent Outburst on their turn and use Pitch Force of Negation to protect it. So awesome with Violent Outburst, and just overall a really good card. Definitely would play 4 copies. And our blue count is reasonable, 4, 8, 12, 16, 23. Or excuse me, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 27. Yeah, our blue count's basically perfect to support both of these cards. And then the mana base, nothing special here. We have our 2 Triomes, because we are splashing white, bunch of fetches, bunch of shocklands, and then 3 copies of Gemstone Caverns for when you're on the draw. Pretty high upside card. I will frequently sideboard out 1 copy when I'm on the play, because I really you can't ever afford to draw the second one when you're on the play, because it doesn't do anything. But the upside of having 3 when you're potentially on the draw is definitely worth playing the 3 copies in the main deck, I believe. So that is the main deck, and then go over the sideboard really quickly. Again, remember, we can't play cards that cost less than 3, so we're choosing to play Leyland as our graveyard hate of choice, which is awesome, because if it's in your opening hand, it's free. You don't have to pay any mana for it, and it's very good against all of the... It's actually good against a lot of decks. It's good against Delver, surprisingly, because it shuts down Murktide Regent and Dragon's Rage Channeler, so it invalidates 2/3 of their threats, which is really awesome. It's also good against the Vengevine, Feasting Troll King decks. It's good against Living End. There's just a bunch of random stuff where Leyline comes up, so definitely worth playing 4 copies if you're playing the Cascade stuff. 4 copies of Force of Vigor. This card's stock has gone up a lot over the past couple of days with the amount of Urza Sagas floating around. This card is an absolute beating against Urza Saga, especially against Amulet. Imagine your opponent leads turn 1, Urza Saga, Amulet of Vigor, which is a pretty common turn 1 play from the Amulet deck. You just get to blow up their land and their best card, and just set them back to the actual Stone Age. So I'm really excited to play against Amulet with 4 copies of Force of Vigor. That seems like it's going to be pretty fun. Endurance, more stuff for the graveyard decks. Also comes up against Mill. If people are playing that, you can target yourself with Endurance's ability. Remember that. So, very versatile card, in addition to the ley lines against the graveyard decks. Disputes for opposing counterspells. Dead Gone, which is sweet because it's 1 mana, but when it's on the stack or when you're flipping through your deck, it's not 1 mana, it's 4 mana because total mana cost. But yeah, 1 mana shock, just additional interaction. Gone, bounce a creature, can also bounce a construct if that comes up. Maybe bring those in against Saga. And then 1 Miser's copy of Timely Reinforcements when you're playing against Burn, just in case. So, that is the deck list. Hope you enjoyed that little deck tech. So let's go ahead and see if we can get some RHINOS into play. I'll see you back in just a little bit for round number 1. Alright, YouTube, we're back here for round number 1. We won the die roll, fortunately. My hand has lands and Cascade cards. I keep lands plus Cascade cards. That means RHINOS. I think what I'm going to do is elect to play one of the Triumphs, but hold the other one to potentially cycle. And I think I'd prefer to play the white one, so that if I draw specifically Teferi, I can fetch Island plus Forest and not take any damage. Uh-oh. I think Tron is a bad matchup for this deck. Alright, we will pass. I guess the downside of not playing the Triumph there is if I draw Subtlety, I can't hardcast it. But alright, Mana Reshaper. As everybody knows, card is stone cold unbeatable. Just get Breeding Pool. Force of Negation is a decent draw. Blue, white, red, green. I could just get Forest. I even have double blue if I want to hardcast Force. Considering playing Violent Outburst here, because I might want the second blue card to pitch to Force, or is it more important to have the 2/2 in play? Given that I have 4 Force and 4 Subtlety, I think it's probably better to just pass here and just use the Violent Outburst. I think the 2/2 is kind of irrelevant when they have Matter Reshaper, because the 2/2 just trades for Matter Reshaper. I also think I might just take this hit and not give them a Matter Reshaper trigger. Yeah, I'm just going to take 3 damage. Because I could instant speed the RHINOS and block the Matter Reshaper, but I don't really think I need to give them a trigger. I'm not forcing that. We have another Reshaper. Seems like it. Okay. Alright, well, let's cast Outburst. Make some RHINOS. Fire and Ice. Alright, let's just attack first. See what they do. Probably gonna chump block. Now they're taking 8. So I can make more RHINOS and just hold up all my stuff. Seems fine to me. We can have RHINOS plus Force Up. They play a Thought-Knot Seer. I'm just going to respond, make some RHINOS. Probably should tap red mana for that, though. Sucks that they have something like a main deck Ratchet Bomb or an Explosives. Well, they wouldn't play Explosives, but I don't think they would ever have main deck Ratchet Bomb. So I don't think I should play around that stuff. Make some RHINOS. Worst case scenario is they have Urza's Tower plus another thing, but I'm not even really sure what that other thing could be. Because as is, they can double block a Rhino, but I can I guess they take the Fire Ace, right? So they double block a Rhino, trade for a Rhino, and they take 8, go to 4. Well, looks like that 2/2 would have mattered. But Force of Negation should cover most of the stuff, because yeah, even if they had somehow had a main deck Ratchet Bomb, I could just force it, so it wouldn't even matter that much. attack. I got rhinos. So they double block, trade, go to 4. And then I guess I just make some more rhinos. Why not? Let's see what, I guess making more rhinos is bad if they, like, hit Thought-Knot Seer into something. I could have also only killed one of the Matter Shapers. I could have just assigned all the damage to one. Which maybe I should have done. That's fine, because... Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that should lock it up. Now that we have more rhinos plus 2 interactive spells, I can't imagine they get out of this. Alright, more rhinos. Rhinos for days. So they have a Karn. But we have 2 ways to answer Karn, so even if they have Thought-Knot Seer into Karn, yeah, I'm not really sure what they could do to get out of this. They're gonna Tech Edge me? No, Sacking Mind Stone, sure. It seems fine. Alright, game 2, we go. Definitely bringing in 4 copies of Force of Vigor, because they have Chalice of the Void, Ensnaring Bridge, Karn the Grey Creator, just a very good card against them. And I believe that is the only card I'm going to bring in. Now, what am I cutting? That's a good question. I could possibly cut Teferi Time Raveler, because it's not particularly great against them. Obviously, they're not interacting on your turn, and... It is decent against something like Chalice of the Void, but we have Force of Vigor and Force of Negation for it. And Borrower. I think we have enough outs to Chalice of the Void. And then I think I'm just going to cut the Bone Crusher Giant, because the only thing that Bone Crusher that Stomp kills is Matter Shaper. I guess you can kill, like, put pressure on a Karn after they minus it, but I'm not sure how relevant that is. The 4/3 body's not bad, because it trades with Thought-Knot Seer. But so do all of your rhinos, so I think I'm just going to do this. Alright, back here for game number 2 against Etron. So this hand's kind of weird. We have 3 Cascade spells. So we can go Suspend turn 1 Rhino. My only issue with this hand is we don't have an out the Chalice. That is my biggest issue with this hand. So Force of Negation not going to be a good draw if they play Chalice on turn 1. But we have 4 Force of Vigor, 4 Brazen Borrower to destroy it. I think this hand is really close. I'm going to try it. This hand's more of a... I want to see how this hand plays out. I want to see if you can reasonably keep a hand without an answer to Chalice. That's kind of what I'm trying with this hand. I don't know if you have to mull to an answer to Chalice, but... Alright, they have the Chalice. God, Force of Vigor would be absurd here. Upkeep, kill both of these. So, if I suspend the Footfalls on turn 1, and then choose to ice on turn 2 and don't draw an untapped land, even if I find Force of Vigor, I won't be able to cast Shardless Agent, because my 3rd land will enter the battlefield tapped. So it's a question of, do I want to gamble on drawing an untapped land and play the Breeding Pool? Or if I want to play it safe and play the Triumph on 1. I think I'm just going to play it safe. I might be in a spot where maybe I shouldn't be playing it safe because I need to find an answer to Chalice anyways. Not sure about that. And I'm definitely going to ice them on their upkeep. Just play Breeding Pool. Alright. Ice a land so they can't do anything too crazy. Force of Vigor, please? Nope. Alright, well. This is looking grim. Although, if we find Force of Vigor, we can clean up Chalice and whatever they get. So, maybe we're live if we draw Forest, but they just get Sundering Titan, right? We got Graft Digger's Cage. Oh. That doesn't work against... No. Because it's exile. Yeah. So you're casting it from exile, not from your library. Well, we drew the Force. So that is definitely step 1. So we'll just pass. We have Eldrazi Temple. 5 mana, 6 mana. Ugin the Ineffable, sure. Alright, they have a 2/2. They're choosing to get an artifact. Perhaps liquid metal coating? Just going to get a basic island in response. Because I still have red plus green here. Alright, now the question is, obviously I'm blowing up the Chalice. This card doesn't do anything, so I'm just going to blow up the coating. Unless I'm misunderstanding how this works. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. Cascade says, when you cast a spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile another card. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. So you're casting it from exile, not from your library. Okay. So blow up the Chalice and the coating. Pitch. I don't think I'm going to have time for this extra footfalls. I think I'd rather just have max RHINOS. I'll float a red. Guest outbursts. Guest footballs. Okay. Now, question is... So I only have to send one at Karn. And I can't kill Ugin regardless. Unless they don't block the Rhino. Which would be insane for me, right? So, one at Karn. One at Ugin. Ugin, Karn, yeah. And I kind of assume they're going to block this, the one that's attacking Ugin, but... Yeah, okay. So no reason to cast this other outburst now. Could deal 1 more damage to the Ugin, but... I don't know if that's that relevant. I'll just play Scalding Tarn. I'm going to keep the Shardless Agent in my hand. Because it just trades for a token anyways. And it's also a blue card in case I draw... I guess if I draw Force of Negation or Subtlety, I can just hardcast them at this point. So it might not be that relevant. Alright, Mana Reshaper's fine. Seems like they might be flooding out. Alright, I'm going to leave the Triumph in my deck because if I draw it, I want to be able to cycle it. I should have got white mana, though, so I don't have to shock the Temple Garden in. Alright, more RHINOS. Alright, Force of Negation, good draw. How many RHINOS? I have 1 Crashing Footfalls left, right? Okay. Alright? Yeah. I mean, I'm not casting the Shardless anyways, but... Alright, so if I attack 2 at Ugin, that's 8 trample, minus 4. So Ugin dies no matter what. Then I can send 2 at them. And then I'm just going to hold up Force of Negation, because if I play the Shardless, I do not have Force of Negation available for a potential All's Dust. And I think 3 RHINOS is enough. What did they reveal off Reshaper? I'm going to land. Alright. And they're at 16. I guess there is some consideration to play the other Shardless because it presents lethal. So there's something to be said about that. But if I wait 1 turn, I can play Shardless and have Force hardcast anyways. So I think this makes sense to me. Well, that's just better, because that makes the Rhino trade for Smasher, and they take 10. So that's just way better. And I still have Force up. Alright, the last Rhino. Alright, so they take 10, go to 6. We have Force of Negation up. Should be fine. Alright. Round 1 against Eldrazi Tron. I thought that was going to be a bad matchup because they had Chalice and Karn. But as you can see, Force of Vigor, one of the best sideboard cards right now. Once we drew it, the game... I'm not going to say the game ended on the spot, but the game was pretty trivial from there. So, hope you enjoyed the game. See you back in just a little bit for round number 2. All right, YouTube, we're back here for round number 2. This is a great hand for the YouTube content. Uh, well, so to be completely honest with you, I actually think this hand's a keep. We can caverns, pitch another cavern, so we have a dead card in hand at the third caverns, but we have 3 mana sources, a cantrip, and a removal spell. We just need to find one of our 12 Cascade spells. So as weird as funny as this hand looks, because we have all 3 copies of Caverns, I actually think this hand's a keep. Now, one trick you have to remember on Magic Online is you have to put this onto the battlefield. Do not click a second Caverns, because that will put the second Caverns in play. Then you hit OK, then you pitch the Caverns. Always remember to do it that way. Alright, so Amulets. I feel like Amulet might be a tough matchup. Do I want to ice them? Icing them is good if they have Amulet plus Bounce Land. So I think I will ice them. Probably should have fetched there just to thin my deck a little bit. Okay, drawing 2 lands is not the best. Alright, Breeding Pool, so they don't have Amulet. Alright, there's our Cascade spell. Hopefully it's good enough. Alright, Rhino time. 10 power, turn 3. What's up? We do have a Brazen Borrower, so if they go for a Hasty Titan, we can bounce that. Our Rhinos attack past Dryad, which is huge. So I don't know. It's not the worst spot in the world. But if they just have Land Titan, or Land Titan, they just get 2 Valakites and... Okay, that was a really good draw. So, I'm trying to think of the math if I attack with this. No, because they're just not going to block the Rhinos anyways. I'm just giving them a free block. So just attack for 8. I'm going to play Steam Vents untapped. Yeah. Kind of signifies what I have, but it's not like they can play her on Subtlety. They have to play their Titan. And this makes it so they actually have to chump block. If they play Land Titan, and I Subtlety the Titan, if they block the Shardless, they take 11. So they have to chump block the Titan, which is huge for me, because then the turn after, they won't... Oh, and they have to pay for Pact. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we are good. Yeah. Can't imagine they have a way out of this now. If it was Titan and not Pact, maybe, but... Oh, we can also just bounce the Dryad and have lethal, right? But, yeah, that's true. We can also just bounce the Dryad. But I don't even think we need the Brazen Borrower. I just don't think they can beat this. Because even if we didn't have the Borrower, they would just have to chump block, take 9, go to 2. Yeah, they just don't have any outs. Okay. So Force of Vigor in, as we said in the intro, very good against Urza Saga and Dryad and Amulet. Insane against Titan. I could bring in Mystical Dispute just as like a really bad 3-mana counterspell, but I think I'm going to do the same exact thing I did against Etron, just board out the Teferi's and the Bone Crusher. I don't really think Teferi is that good. They don't really play counterspells, and I'd much rather have Brazen Borrower and Fire Ice, because Fire Ice can also tap a Titan, which could come up. So there we go. Yeah, let's do that. And then we're on 16 green cards for Force, which is low, but I think it's reasonable. That's, I guess, my biggest concern about playing Force of Vigor in the sideboard. Yeah, it's super high impact, especially right now in the format, but I'm just not sure that it's... that you can support the full 4 copies. I don't know. We boarded it in round 1, and we had a green card to cast it, so... this hand seems nuts. We have turn 2 Rhinos with Subtlety if we draw a blue card. Yeah, this hand seems awesome. I'm gonna pitch the Hallowed Fountain, I think. Yeah, because this gives me white mana. I guess pitching the Fountain is worse if they, like, Ghost Quarter this. So maybe I should pitch one of these lands. Probably the Breeding Pool, because I can get basic Forest off of Foothills. Yeah, it's like slightly better versus Ghost Quarter, I guess. I did say we were going to eventually sideboard out of Caverns when we're on the play, but if we keep 2-0ing matches, then we're never going to get to be on the play after in a post-board game. Alright, Caverns, pitch Breeding Pool. Having Caverns both games is pretty good. Pretty good. They do have the Amulet, so... Oof. Bar is also a sicko draw. Going to play Foothills. It's possible I end up taking another damage there that I don't need to. But I kind of wanted to hold up the Brazen Borrower just in case. They have Ghost Quarter. That doesn't matter too much. We'll just get the Teamer Triome. Force of Vigor 2, potentially a good draw. White, green, blue. Alright, Rhino time. So they probably brought in engineered explosives, which is something that we have to be cognizant of. Not that we have an answer for it right now, but there's also just not much I can do about it, the explosives if they have it, so. Simic Growth Chamber. It's fine. Unfortunately, can't cast this Force of Vigor. I would have loved to cast Force of Vigor there, but I guess it wouldn't have been that good, because if I upkeep it, they just sack the map in response, so it really only tags the Amulet, but now a green card would be quite a good draw. I guess I can just hardcast it. Yeah. This is their only other land drop, so the best they can do is play Azusa and get access to 4 mana. But they're probably just going to sack the map here. Yep. And then I can just slam for 4, play this untapped on their upkeep, hardcast Force of Vigor on these two. Okay. They're going to put Urza Saga into play. I still think I'm going to blow up the Dryad and the Amulet. I think that's better than killing the Saga. Maybe I kill the Saga and the Dryad because I have Subtlety for Titan anyways. That's probably better, actually. Let's deck first. Yeah, so that damage happens. Play this untapped. Pass. Their upkeep. Kill. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Could be a little scary leaving them with Titan or with Amulet, but again, even if they have Titan, we have Subtlety to cover it, so I think this makes more sense. Because this could potentially give them 2 blockers for the Rhinos. I guess that's worse against Borrower, but I don't know. I think I like this line better. Like, we know they have Growth Chamber, but alright, they're at 13. No reason to make any other Rhinos. We just attack for 8, hold up all of our stuff. And even if they draw explosives, we have backup Rhinos, plus we have Titan covered in multiple ways, and we even have this hardcast, so I feel like this game should be locked up. Well, there's the Simic Growth Chamber. So that gives them 5 mana. Still not enough for a Titan. Okay. 5 mana. Titania. No thanks. No thank you. Alright. Easy 2-0, 4-0. Gonna give us the GGs. Yeah, so I thought that was gonna be a bad matchup. I don't know if maybe it's just, I mean, probably has something to do that we opened on Gemstone Caverns both games, but I don't know. Maybe the matchup is actually pretty close. You have a lot of good interaction between Subtlety, especially after Borb, when you get to bring in Force of Vigor, so matchup might not actually be as bad as I think it is. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed the games. I'll see you back in just a little bit for round number 3. Alrighty, YouTube, round 3 time. RHINOS. We're on the play. I got some Cascade cards. We have an interactive spell on 2 mana. Seems like a fine hand to me. I'm gonna play the Misty so I can get the Triumph, because I need to get a red source off of this to have perfect mana. Inspiring Vantage. Alright, we're gonna let the Goblin guy trigger. See what we have on top. Alright, well, it doesn't matter then. I'll just get Team or Triumph. I feel like this matchup might be close. So I'm going to play Island here to try and spike the basic forest or a fetch land that finds the basic forest. Are they going to cast Eidolon first? Okay, no, they're casting Swift Spear. That's fine. Because I want to not try and not shock off of one of these is what I'm getting at. Excuse me, they have 4 cards. Crashing Footfalls on top. Alright, we're going to fire... Actually, it might be better to... this is tough. So if I kill the Goblin guy, take 2, go to 15. Shock 13 RHINOS. As opposed to go to 12 and have kill this with these 2 in play. The reason I'd want to kill this is if they have land 3 1-mana spells, they can attack past RHINOS. But I think I just need to minimize. I need to maximize the amount of damage I take. Is what I'm trying to say. I think it's better to do it this way. All right, 15, 13, RHINOS. Hope this is good enough. If we had Force of Negation, I would like our spot a lot more. But I mean, we're gonna make it impossible for them to attack because we can just play more RHINOS next turn. But if they have 13 points of direct damage, then we're going to be in a bad spot. So it all kind of depends on how many burn spells they have. Force of Negation. Not the best. I'm willing to attack with all. Since I don't care if the Shardless dies, we have another one anyways. Alright, so they're going to double block, which means they're probably casting at least 1 spell, if not 2. Alright. They're helixing us. I'm gonna let that go. 5. So if I cast Outbursts, I can only kill 1 Swift Spear still, so do that. They don't have another 1-mana spell, which is good for us. I'm gonna play the turn. I have no intention of cracking it, but... So 12. We have 16 damage in play right now, so we could potentially bounce the Swift Spear and have lethal, depending on what's in their hand. 14. So they have 2 2-mana spells. They have Eidolon, which is not that bad for us. Oh, Amager Force. Okay. Feeling pretty good now. I'm just going to attack first and see what they do. I don't want to preemptively play the Borrower and take damage. So this is 14. This is lethal. They have to chump block. And Violent Outburst becomes lethal now. Because I just get to pump the RHINOS. Seems like we got game 1, I think. So they have another Helix. But no, because that's neutral. Because they have to take 3 to cast it. Because of the Eidolon. So it's still lethal. Whatever. I go to 3, but might as well cast it for funsies. Alright, take 15. Okay, against Burn, I want Interaction and Timely, and Teferi's Clunky. I do like that it seems like, in all the games, it seems like our sideboarding has been pretty clean. I could consider Force of Vigor, which maybe I should, because Force of Vigor kills... I think the biggest issue with this matchup is Roiling Vortex, which is the 2-mana enchantment. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to play it, they take 5. So for every RHINOS we cast, we have to take 5 damage. Now, the only issue about bringing Force against that is if I pitch cast the Forest, I still have to take 5 damage. So I think it might not be worth it. Plus, I have Brazen Borrower and Force of Negation, so I think I'm just gonna do this. See how this goes. Subtlety's not the best either, but it's, I don't know, it's still a time walk, of sorts. I think this hand's a keep. And honestly, if they play a Goblin Guide, I might just Subtlety it. Yeah. I like Subtletying this. It just, like... It kind of time walks them. I think it's a good play. I'm assuming they put it on top. Right on time. I'm just going to take a look. They put the guide on top. Yeah, okay. Alright, 2 more Goblin Guides. We revealed... not the best draw. Pass. Not the best draw. Alright, they have a Swift Spear. Take 5, potentially more. Violent Outburst on top? Do I want to draw that? Yeah, I think I do. I think I want more Rhinos. I could shuffle it away, but I think I just need the second Rhinos for more pressure. Maybe not. So they didn't have a spell. Suspend Rift Bolt. Okay. Let's draw the Outburst. Get basic Forest. Play Caverns. Play Agents. It's possible that I'm supposed to shuffle away the Outburst just looking for something like Force of Negation. But then, if I draw Force of Negation and cast the Agent, then I don't have a blue card to pitch, so... I don't know that that actually helps me that much. So I go to 7, and they have 1 card left. It's going to be dicey. They're probably not dealing me any more combat damage, which is, I guess, a good thing. So their creatures, they have to draw 7 damage worth of spells. Should I attack with the Shardless Agents? No, because it's so likely for them to have a spell here that I think I'd rather just do this, leave back the Agents. It's just the freest block of their lives. Oh, I messed up. I hit F2 on accident. They should have taken 2 more damage there. I really hope that doesn't come back to bite me. I just click through it. So they should be at 8. So I meant to cast this in combat. I think I might just be dead anyways. Helix. So they would have been at 11. Well, the Eidolon doesn't matter. This would probably have been a lot better if they were at 11. So if I send 4... They double block a Rhino, take 12, go to 1. Then I block here, take 2, and they can't cast a spell. Right? Yeah, this makes sense. I think this works. Leave back the Shardless. I guess they can just double block with the Eidolon. Yeah. Wait, what? Okay. Well, this would have been a lot better if they were at 1. If they were at 1 here, if I didn't miss that 2 damage, because now I'm dead to Boros Charm. Because they're at 3, they can cast 1 more spell. So that 2 damage might come back to bite me. They draw exactly Boros Charm. Oh no, they drew it. I think they drew it. Oh no. I mean, I deserve to lose this game. Yeah. Should have won if I just didn't miss that 1 point of damage or the 2 points. That's all right. Shake it off. Game number 3. Oh, I forgot to board out a Caverns. I was finally on the play. I think this hand's bad. It has a lot of interaction. We have a removal spell for their turn 1 creature and a removal spell for their turn 2 creature. But we don't have a second. We don't have a second colored source to cast the outbursts. We have Subtlety, Pitch Borrower. This hand's got a lot of stuff going on. I think it's a mulligan though, because it can't really cast its spells. All right, keep this. Put back the Footfalls. Play this on 1. It's so unfortunate that I missed that 2 damage. So should have won this game. Should have won that last game. But that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Now they're gonna play Roiling Vortex. Is that what this is? No. Okay. I mean, I think I can beat a pile of Lava Spikes. I guess I'd rather hold the Plea. No, because Violent Outburst is worth more damage, so I'd rather just cast the Plea. Because if I draw a Force or a Subtlety, I can just hard cast it. So I think this is fine. Oh man, should have won this match. It is what it is. I messed up. I just clicked through it. It's one of those things that only happens on Magic Online. Real life, I would, you can't click through your casting your spell in real life. Oh well. It is what it is. Only on Magic Online. Alright, I'm not going to click through it now, but I don't know if it's going to matter. It's so unfortunate. Alright, don't kill me. Probably dead. God, it's so unfortunate. Oh, man. Very, very unfortunate. Oh, well. Should be 3-0, but that's what happens. Magic Online things. I will say that I do think this matchup is good. The first 2 games were a pretty good showcase, but yeah, really unfortunate that I threw that game, but see if we can kind of shake it back. I'll see you back in just a little bit for round number 4. Alright, YouTube, back here for round number 4. We're going to try and shake off that last round. We have a hand that we cannot keep because we have 1 land. We're on the draw. This hand's also pretty bad. Don't have a Cascader. Ship this. 24 lands, by the way. I guess I keep this. It's not very good, but I think it's better than going to 4. Countering that. Got some baubles. They didn't reveal a companion, so usually when you see Mishra's bauble... how did I know that was going to happen? Okay, well, now I'm just getting trolled at this point. I threw 1 game against Bird, and now I'm just getting full trolled. Steel Overseer. Okay. I'm just gonna petty theft this now, so they can't like play their land, respond, and make a Saga put a counter on it. I know I'm gonna do it anyways, so I'll just do it now. And they're also probably just making a Saga here, so they're just not gonna cast it again. I need a land here. The full troll. The full-on troll. I guess there's some consideration to save the borrower for the other construct, but I don't know what they could have. I'll just bounce this thing now because I have to do it anyways. It's possible I should have not cast the borrower there and let them have the Overseer, but then they get 2 activations out of the Overseer. Even if they bounce the 2 constructs, they have a 3/3 Overseer and a 2/4 Thopter, so I'm not sure. I think it's better to do it the way I did it, but it's kind of close. I could see arguments for both sides. Well, I have a 7/7. Because I drew another Shardless, and I have a second blue card to pitch to force, I'm just going to cast this Shardless. I feel very far behind, though. We need to find another answer to this construct. We have 2 more Borrowers and 3 Teferis that we can draw towards. It's fine. I'm not forcing that. Saving force for Nettle Sister Cranial Plating. Like, what's my play? Double block Construct? I guess that's fine, right? Double block Construct. Then I can... No, because they just have the Overseer. I can't even do that. Yeah, this is rough. I guess I just take a chunk. 1 mana. That's pretty good. Well, I have to force that. That cannot resolve. They still have 4 cards in their hand, though. This Affinity deck is really good. I recorded a video with it a couple days ago, and it felt really good. I'm a big, big fan of this deck. I'm not a huge fan of Steel Overseer, personally, but... They should have definitely attacked with this. Alright, they kind of missequenced a little bit. What they should have done is just played this, attack for 10, and then sack this, but... Because they sacked this, and then chose not to attack because it was an 8-8, but... So a little missequence there, but... They're far enough ahead where it probably doesn't matter. I guess if I draw exactly Teferi, maybe I can bounce this. They're smart, they just named Teferi, because I've shown them a white source. So this kind of signifies that I have Teferi. It chose Wooded Foothills. Is that the top card of my library? Because they bobbled me. Fire, Ice. Huh. They also tap the Overseer with the drum instead of the Ornithopter? I just realized that. Well, I can't attack. I guess I'm just going to cast Outburst on their turn. I have some Borrowers that I can play, but they're not very good. Thoughtcasts. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Sideboarding cannot come any sooner. We get to bring in Force of Vigor. Okay, it resolves. Are they just dead? 16, 18. They're actually pretty close to dead. I'll let them attack with the construct. 18. It would seem that we're 1 damage short, right? So I take 11. Then I end step cast Outburst. And I have 18 damage. I can deal 1 to this and 1 to them. They tap this in response to activate it. Is there any way I can present a lethal attack? 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That doesn't do it. Well, it definitely involves me taking 2. Or taking a chunk, not taking 2. What am I saying? Alright. Cast Violent Outburst, because I need more Rhinos. Is another Outburst lethal? Another Outburst would be lethal. We're so close. Oh, I know what I do. I have to ice the Overseer and draw a land. Right? Tap the Overseer, draw a land, 18 plus fire. Yep, that's my out. Ice this. Alright, land please. Ding, 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 ding. Fire, you. I can't believe I won this game. I cannot believe I won this game. Whew. Alright. Game 2. So Dead Gone's not bad because it bounces constructs, kills Steel Overseer. Force of Vigor also very good. The rest of our cards not the best. So what are we cutting? Teferi Time Reveler is good at bouncing constructs. However, their deck goes so wide that I don't actually think Teferi is that good. Like, imagine 3 mana, bounce one of your constructs, draw a card, and the rest of their board is just, you know, a couple Memnites, a Steel Overseer, a Thought Monitor, a Cranial Plating. It's just, it's not enough, you know. Teferi's better against the slower Urza Saga decks that don't put a bunch of other creatures into play. I have to cut 3 more cards. Force of Negation is not the best, but it does deal with Cranial Plating. I think maybe I shave on Force. Maybe shave a Subtlety. They don't actually have a ton of creatures in their deck, so usually their creature base is Frogmite, Memnite, Ornithopter, Thought Monitor, those 16 creatures. Sometimes Sojourner's Companion, the 0-mana 4/4. But Subtlety is not very good against any of those cards. They're all cheap and free, and yeah. So it might actually be more beneficial for me to keep in Force for Cranial Plating and Nettle Cysts. Let's try this. I just don't think Subtlety lines up very well against most of their creatures. Well, I have turn 1 Force of Vigor, turn 2 Bone Crusher Giant, turn 3 Rhinos. So I can't imagine ever mulliganing this hand. And this hand's just the nuts, right? Force pitch this, turn 2 this, yeah. They went to 6. You can have a Memnite. I accept. You can have a Bauble. Am I blowing up their Glimmer Void? Yeah, why not? It's a little greedy, but because I might want to just save it. Okay, well, I guess it's not that greedy because they're off it. But yeah, I mean, I think we stole game 1. I think our opponent... I don't know if the tapping of the Overseer would have mattered the turn that they tapped the Overseer for the drum, because they could have got one more activation off the Overseer. But yeah, I think we got pretty lucky to win game 1, and then game 2, our hand was just kind of loaded. So hope you enjoyed the games. See you back in just a little bit for the 5th round. Alrighty, YouTube, back here for the last round of our RHINOS League. We're on the play. We have Ice into RHINOS. I think that's good enough. I'm going to fetch the White Triome on turn 1 in case I want to play Teferi first, depending on what they do. With Scalding Tarn, because Mystic can get both basics. Okay, Spire Bluff Canal, but no 1-drop, so probably not Prowess. Just get the basic Forest. And then I think I'll upkeep Ice their Canal. Stop them from playing Counterspell. Yeah. Ice Canal. Again, I'm not sure if they're playing Prowess, not sure if they're playing Storm. Could be a bunch of different Spire Bluff Canal decks. Chose to Spell Snare it. Okay. So this is probably through the Breach. Would I rather play Teferi or Outburst? Probably Outburst. Faster clock. And I'm going to main phase the Outburst while they're tapped out of Counterspell. They could have Force of Negation, but... Okay. They did not cast Force. That doesn't mean they don't have it. They may not care about the RHINOS. Alright, not the best draw. Let's check first. Worth noting, they played Lava Glide Pathway, which means they cannot Archmage's Charm one of the tokens. Let's see if this gets countered. I assume it is. Alright, sure. Remand is fine. And it's actually kind of funny. If they have Breach... unless they have Cryptic into Breach... Alright, attack first. I was going to say if they have Breach, we can just sack 5 lands and a Rhino, because then they're going to be at 4. I'm just gonna pass. Yeah. So if I play Teferi, it plays into their counterspells. But if they play Emrakul, what I can do is, again, I can play Subtlety. Sure. So now if they bolt this, right, I have 6 permanents. Then they go Breach Emrakul. I play Subtlety, sack everything but the Rhino, take 15, go to 1. And then kill them with the last Rhino. So we have Emrakul plus Breach beat, which is good. Okay, they're choosing not to cast Emrakul. So I guess they have Cryptic Command or Archmage's Charm. Alright, well I kind of have to cast this. If I assume they're playing something to deal with this. I guess Counter Bounce is pretty bad for me. Yeah. Alright, they have Remand, which is fine, because now they can't cast Charm. Go to attacks. See what they do about the Rhino. Snapcaster Mage. So, Snap Bolt. Okay, but so they go to 1? Yeah. So they trade with the Rhino, go to 1. So is it better to main phase the Outburst or just hold up Subtlety? I think it's better to main phase the Outburst. This is bad against Force of Negation. The problem is if I cast Teferi first, I go to 15 and then I die to an Emrakul hit. So I don't think I can play Teferi first. Because I have to not go to 1 here. Or I can't take a damage, because that makes Emrakul lethal. So this fetch is essentially dead. I got super punished for not playing Temple Garden when the turn that I played the Misty, but... Alright, so they have to have Cryptic. I guess they could also have Charm, Steal, or Rhino. Trade. Alright, tap draw. So now I can play Teferi. I think I'm just gonna bounce on nothing to try and find Force. There we go. I should have played the Temple Garden that turn. Definitely should have played Temple Garden that turn. Although this lets me hardcast Force, so it's not like a guarantee, you know. Now I can just hardcast Force because I don't think they have any outs now. All right. A little bit of misnavigation there, but... Alright, against opposing control... Well, I guess they're not a true control deck in the sense of the word, but... Mystical Dispute, very good. Force of Vigor, Ley Line, don't do anything. Dead Gone does not bounce Emrakul, because Emrakul has protection from instants. I think that's it. Cut the Bone Crusher Giant, and... Subtlety's kind of bad against them. Because the only creature they usually have is Snapcaster Mage, outside of Emrakul, which they don't cast, so you can't Subtlety the Emrakul. Would I rather have 1 Bone Crusher Giant than the 3rd Subtlety? I guess not. Just because I can, I don't know, maybe a 4-mana 3/3 flyer is better than a 3-mana 4/3. I mean, they're both bad, but... Sand doesn't have any counter magic, but we do have turn 3 Rhinos. I think it's good enough. Maybe not. Maybe I'm supposed to just mulligan to counter magic. Okay, that's a good draw. Because now we can turn 3 Outburst with Force Up. I guess Shocking there is kind of bad. I could have just played a tap land. There's like almost no reason to hold up Arbor there. Because now I have to go to 15. Yeah, Shocking was really bad. I mean, I can get basic Force, but then I can't play Teferi if I draw it, so... I'm not going to counter that. But I am going to cast Violent Outburst now to make them have Force of Negation. Need to get a blue source. So probably steam vents. Red, green, blue. Alright, rhinos. Choosing not to force. Alright, go to attacks first. See if they want to do anything. I'll just play the other Triumph and pass. Hold up all of our stuff. If they go for breach, they're dead because we can force pitch and cast a second outburst. Alright, they are choosing not to cast breach. I mean, there's almost no reason not to cast the other outburst here, because we just have a million copies. So might as well present lethal. There's a good chance they have remand. I may or may not fight over this. Because they remand, I force, they have another counterspell, and I think that's worse for me. Because then I only have outburst to deal them 10. Maybe I should fight over this. I force, they counter back. I outburst again. They take 10, go to 2. I make 2 more rhinos, but then I'm just dead to breach, right? If I force this. Alright, I'll let it go. I think it's okay. Because now they have to have... Oh, that was actually kind of a sicko draw, too. Well, I can actually just go for lethal. Yeah, right? So we go play Misty, crack this, get a basic. Get... I don't know, an island. Attack. Violent Outburst, put them to 2. Right, so green, red, this, Outburst. And if they go for breach, we force pitch, they spell pierce, then we respond and fire them. I'm not going to fire them now, no reason to, but I don't care if they counter the footfalls. They have Flusterstorm the Footfalls. Okay. I wonder if they're going to redirect to the outbursts. Okay, that's really good for us. That they chose to put it all in the footfalls. I wonder if they were supposed to put some of the outburst. Maybe they're just not considering Fire Ice as an out. But now we should have this locked up. Because I just don't have to do anything. They go for breach. I force pitch. They have another 1-mana counterspell. Let me go from there. Alright, we go to combat. They have Cryptic. They have Snapcaster, Archmage's Charm. So now I can just respond and fire them. Well, actually, I lead on Brazen Borrower, so I let them steal the token. Then I bounce the token and see what they do. Alright. Petty Thefts, Rhino. Because this is still lethal. Worst pitch, Snapcaster Mage. So do I fire them now? I think so. I'm not sure when I'm supposed to fire off the fire. Because this gets got by Pierce, Fluster, Spell Snare. But if I wait, they have more mana untapped, so I think it's better to do it now. Okay, they just didn't have anything. Well, that was a pretty good league, because it should have been a 5-0, 10-0, but we punted a game against Bird and then lost game 3. But this deck was awesome. Huge fan of this deck. Now I kind of know why everybody's been talking it up so highly. You just have infinite copies of Rhinos. You just Rhino them to death, and you have good interaction. It's all pretty cheap or free with Force Negation and Subtlety. So yeah, this deck is awesome. I'm a huge fan of it. I think if you play it, you couldn't go wrong playing this in a tournament this weekend. So hope you enjoyed the content. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comment section below. And with that, I will see you in the next one.